All right, so welcome to episode 68. We are joined with Ben from the Golf Caddy or the Kid. The
Kid
hard part
Caddie.
for me
Yep.
is the hard part for me is it's Kid Caddy Golf and then it's at Golf Stroller on Instagram. So I always get them mixed up, but we do have Ben with Kid Caddy Golf. The cool thing is I do believe you're our first local Minnesota guest. We've had guys from Wisconsin on and stuff like that, but and Ohio, but never Minnesota. So, welcome to the podcast. We're super excited to talk about the Kid Caddy. I don't have kids, but I've seen pictures of it. It makes me want to push like my dog around when we're playing. Maybe Derek's dog. Derek's dog is a little bit smaller. Derek cannot be here today. He's got some kind of sore throat bug, whatever. He's sitting at home. So the listeners who are like excited to listen to Derek, you don't get Derek. It's just me today. But Ben, welcome. Super excited. So what can you tell us about the Kid Caddy, how it started, kind of where the idea came from? Because I think it's super smart. I don't even have kids.
Yeah. First off, thanks for having me. I was excited to find out that you guys are based out of the Minnesota area as well, which is always super cool to find other people that are just interested in the golf space and kind of getting that broader audience. But yeah, so Kid Caddy Golf is a company I started around trying to find a way to get kids involved in the sport, but that's kind of what it's become. At the origin is um, I'm a dad of two, so I've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. And when my daughter was born, it's kind of turned into your kid becomes pretty much your whole world. You want to spend all your time with them, and you really go through that transition phase of what your freedom and being able to go in golf, with no like consequences and spend your time how you want to. Before you now want to spend, you know, taking care of their kid, being with them, and that kind of turns into you've got a nap for 2 hours a couple of times a day, and you're sitting there on the couch thinking, man, there's maybe a way I could get on the golf course. And being in Minnesota, and we spend half our year thinking about golf and the other half of the year getting to play golf. That is a bit of a opportunity for invention. So I came up with the Kid Caddy, which is a golf club carrier that hooks onto your stroller. So it allows me to bring my kids on the course with me, allows me to include them in the game and kind of get back some of that time for me to go out and play and just be involved in the sport. And so it just kind of a product overview is it will strap onto really any stroller. It has two hooks, hook it right onto the handlebars. It uses the club carrier to hold the heads of your clubs, and the grips go into the undercarriage of the stroller. And it'll also have space for 18 clubs, 7 balls, your tees, and your ball markers. And you know the golf strollers and really the jogging strollers are really really well made. I mean, they're like $200 to $600, which is more than you're going to put into a lot of like push carts. So they've got the shocks and everything built into it that handles the golf course really well. So that's kind of what came from the inception of the idea of trying to get onto the golf course, kind of utilize some of that downtime where I'd give my daughter a bottle and she'd sleep for 2 hours and I'd play 9 holes. It was beautiful. And it slowly transitioned into an opportunity to teach her the game. So she's gone from being in the stroller the entire time to now she is out putting on the greens, routine up the ball on tee boxes. And then the whole other aspect of it is, my wife would like so many couples, you kind of have like wife widows or spouses that have to stay and take care of the kid while the other one gets to go golf. Now we kind of get to share that responsibility where sometimes I'll bring my kids with me. Sometimes, and when that happens, she gets to go out and do what she wants to do, kind of recharge her batteries. So there's kind of that equal opportunity with the sport.
So I have the website pulled up on my tablet here,
Yeah.
and I'm down at the golf accessories area. So you get the ball holder, the tee holder, the ball marker, and then the handlebar straps included, right?
Yep.
But then you can also add a drink holder, a scorecard and pencil, wallet holder, phone holder, additional balls and tees, and then additional club space. This is genius. It's like I mean, you're essentially turning your stroller into a push cart that can also hold a child in a sense, right? Like the gist of it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So the accessories are meant to everything that you have in your golf bag um, can now be available on a golf stroller on the Kid Caddy. So we've we've gone through, and so on the sides of the Kid Caddy there are areas for four accessories to be hooked on. So just kind of like the description that you had, you can really put anything that you would have on your golf bag. So we have everything from attachments for youth clubs, so you can slide like three clubs on as your kid gets older, or when
Ooh.
when they're first starting out. So you've got everything from we some of the ones that we've recently added are we've got carabiner clips and a magnetic area. So if you have like a magnetic towel or rangefinder, all the way to um, we've got probably my favorite one is we've got a phone clip on there, so you can put your phone on there and it'll adjust. And so if you're somebody that likes to film their swing, you no longer have to deal with sticking your pole in the ground. You can do that, and then at the same time play. I've got music playing for my kids pretty much the entire time I'm out there. And looking at my last year's like Spotify recap, like I'm fully dad mode where it's nothing but like Disney hits and every princess song you can think of. So that's what I'm rocking on my Spotify.
Oh, I didn't that's smart. Like, because I know I can't think of the big company that you have to shove it in the ground and then you can stick your phone to it, but that's kind of cumbersome in a way. I was thinking like the only attachment that like would make it better is if you could like fit in the big beer tubes, shove it in there.
There you
Although
go.
if you have room for 18 clubs, you probably, you know, fit the big beer tube in there.
So
Um,
I've got a pins and aces, like one of the 7 beer tubes that has like the ice pucks in between.
yeah,
Got it. Didn't end up fitting my in my golf bag, but I bet you money it would fit in the Kid Caddy. So I'll just do
I
that.
have I have one from Nixon. They make watches and stuff.
Yep.
They call theirs the wizard stick. And I smuggled that thing on the golf courses, and like some of the courses, they take your bag, they physically themselves put it on there. It fits in the putter pad, like the putter area of my bag, and my putter actually covers it.
There we
So they
go.
have no idea. It's genius.
Stealth mode.
Yeah, so we've done that a couple times. If you could fit that in there, I'd probably have one and then like find something to wheel around. Um, my buddy just had a kid, which is still weird for me to say at my age, or I shouldn't say that because I guess a lot of people my age are having kids, but he just had a kid. I don't think the kid's ready to like go play golf. Not that we could play golf today anyways, being, 10 below, whatever it was
Yep.
today. Um, I just picture him out there with his 80s metal pushing this kid around, flinging the ball around. It just makes me happy to see such an ingenious way to get your kid involved.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and it's just it's such a fun way to grow the sport because you're growing it. So 0 to 4 doesn't really exist in golf today. There really isn't a good way of getting kids involved. And people say that it's like I'm out there for me. I'm out there to play golf. And the kids just kind of sitting bored in the stroller. And then you actually come out there like with me. And I've had with my two kids, I've played over 40 rounds of golf with my kids on the course. So 9 holes is kind of the sweet spot. We play a ton of 9 hole courses, par threes, municipal courses, all super family friendly. And getting out there is at those early ages. That the product is called Kid Caddy, and that's exactly what they are. You want to talk them through the game. You want to introduce them to what you're doing, and then just build excitement, involve them in the game. High fives when make a putt or a big shot, and hand them your club. Let them hold on to it. Hand them the ball. Just any way that you can kind of involve them in it. Any course that has the sand shaker to fill divots, that person absolutely have kids. Like that is the greatest thing that's ever been invented for keeping kids happy on a course.
At what point did your kids seem interested enough to like want to pick up the golf club or, like you said, your daughter's on the green with you?
Mhm.
Was there like a certain moment where you're like, oh, they're actually interested in this?
Yeah, so it kind of goes in two phases. So My son is about 18 months old right now, and he will make sure. So he's got like a little plastic set of golf clubs around the house. He will make sure that he has a club, and everyone else around the house has a club as well. So he'll like run around and like give them to him, and there's like a stash of clubs like in all of our corners. But then so that's kind of he's not on the course yet. My daughter is she's probably in it for the snacks as much as anything. So she gets like
Same.
a snack every hole. At the same time, at you know around two, she was ready to like be out of the stroller and involved in the game. So then you kind of have to work with that balance of like, all right, come out on the greens, hop back in, we'll go to the next hole, and kind of keep going from there. So she would get out, she would putt. Now that she's going to be for this upcoming golf season, we're going to try getting more into um, the actual like mindset of the game. Like you're on the green, you get three putts to try and get it in, or you drop your ball like on the fringe and you actually try to play it in. So that's one of the things that as parenting you're constantly learning, and so there's some really cool programs like the um, Program 36 or USA Kids Golf that kind of have these programs set up to help parents, teach the game and introduce some of those core concepts. And so that's kind of a really fun phase that I'm getting into now as, we're going from just immersion in the game to actually learning the game.
You better be careful because you might end up with like a Michelle Wee or a Lexi Thompson on your hands before you know it.
That might be all right. That'd be fun. I mean, is
That'd
is
be
the
pretty
Kid Caddy
cool.
the first step towards college scholarships? We'll see.
And
Time will tell.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. Like, there's been weirder things, right, where stuff has happened, but yeah. And then you were at the PGA show this past week, which is weird that they don't do it on a weekend, but whatever.
Yeah, that was a little. It felt like coming home, like it was on the weekend, but got home. So the show was last Wednesday through Friday. So yeah, I got home and
Mhm.
kind of had the weekend to recover. But the show was awesome. Kid Caddy got accepted as an inventor spotlight company, and so they take around 20 or so companies that are new and innovative in the golf industry, and they kind of set us up in the inventor spotlight area. And then there's also the new product zone, which has 110. This year, it had 110 products from new companies, whether they be new in terms of like the inventor spotlight companies, or is all the way up through like your Callaway and like Titleist, and all these companies can submit to that. So some of the highlights were so in that new product zone, out of the 110 companies, we came in fourth. So
Oh, wow.
people were super pumped about the Kid Caddy. We kind of got a premier placement in terms of kind of where we were positioned. So we it's first come first serve as you get into the PGA show. So we got there on Tuesday, went in there to kind of get set up, and had they've got up on the table spots and they've got floor spots. So we had an awesome spot kind of right on the edge of the walkway, so you could see us from either inside the new product zone or outside of it. And somebody from the new product zone kind of came and found us. It's like, yeah, you're like your space is supposed to be like a couple feet wide, and we're rocking a full stroller, so we're a little bigger than that up on a table. But like, yeah, we're gonna need you to like let's reposition it to a floor spot. I was like, but do we have to? Because we're pretty pumped about where we're at, and like, all right, we'll take care of you. And we ended up being, you've probably seen a bunch of social media photos of like the PGA show, like all brick background with like the lit sign, and you
Mhm.
pan down from that. Like we were right there. Like as soon as you walked in the new product zone, we had like premier placement. So it was super cool to see, just be a fly on the wall and be in there and see people kind of walk up, talk about it, take pictures, and a lot of really cool conversations and a lot of people really excited about the idea of getting out there as a family, getting out there involving kids in the sport. It was really really validating as a company, and the mission that we're trying to push towards.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. That's something Derek and I want to attend at some point. I don't know if we'll do like a podcast event there. That'd be pretty cool when we get or when we continue to grow and eventually get big enough for that. Um, yeah, I did see a lot of the social media stuff because we know a couple of groups that were out there. We had the Bogey Boys on not too long ago. They were out there. We know the guys over at Vibes Golf Club. They were out there. So Melvin Gordon was running around with No Way and all of them. Um, there was another person that was there that I knew, but I can't remember who they are right now, which doesn't matter. Um, yeah, so our whole thing here is just to grow the game. Like that's what Derek and I want to do. That's kind of the whole reason behind Save Par and now the podcast is so we can put kind of our stamp on how to grow the game and give people a platform to grow the game, whether it's, somebody my age being 25, you know, to your daughter's age, to, Derek's a little bit older than I am. We just want to show people it's never too early or too late to start. You got to get your kids involved eventually, unless you just hate golf, which in that case, don't listen. Um, but it's very cool. And I thought it was super cool that you guys were able to go and that you did go and that you got the validation that you needed, or not needed, but to kind of back up what you're doing. Because it's always hard to push yourself out there and not get any feedback. And then when we first started this, that's what it was. It was just Derek and I talking. And then when we had our first guest, we were like, okay, that's the validation. And then we had our first review, and that was the validation. So step by step. It's definitely a process and it's super fun to see all these companies grow. It just looks like such a fun place to go and to walk around. I don't think I could do it forever just because I'd get overwhelmed by the people, but seeing all the cool brands there and everything else was super cool. I did see there's a guy, I think it's like the Mod Pod Golf podcast or whatever. We're running around interviewing people, so I was kind of waiting for him to interview somebody that I had like recognized. So
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. Taking it back to the Kid Caddy. I've seen a couple different pictures of it. I've seen one that's silver, and then the one on the website's like blue and stuff. What's it made out of, or can you get it in different materials? Is it 3D printed? Is it like a molded plastic?
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to talk about kind of the origin of it. So, um, when my daughter was born, we just started prototyping, like what can the idea be? Can it actually work? And um, you know, in order to prototype, ended up working with my cousin's a mechanical engineer. He is really good at like designing and drawing. So he and I were able to work together through some of the design materials for what this could start to take shape from. And this started with just hangers on a stroller. So I mean, anybody that has an idea, it doesn't have to be like polished right away. Like we were super raw at the beginning, and then it transitioned to like curtain rods cut, like being hung up, and then that transitioned into designs in 3D printing. And I've actually grown it to the point where I've built a 3D printing lab in my home. I'll do some of the design materials as well as work with a design agency to actually refine the final design. And so that's how we grew and we scaled, and we kind of took it out of stealth mode and into the public eye beginning of last summer and got it out on social media. We have 70 of them out in the wild across the United States. And we actually had a couple of families were so excited about them. They shipped them to their family members and then shipped them to Canada and to Ireland. We have them in the UK. So we're actually multinational without
Oh,
intending to.
cool.
And so they are they're made out of plastic. We use a kind of a high impact plastic for so they're printed in multiple pieces and then assembled. We use the connector pieces are polycarbonate, so they're strong. They have high temperature resistance, and that's kind of what we use to make our final prototype and take it to market. I spent about a year working on durability testing. So I've actually got an old pair of clubs that I would tip the stroller over. I would kind of toss it around and make sure that it would hold up. And got to the place where we really liked the design, and then we've taken it to the point where we're now going injection molding. We have enough validation from the reviews that we've gotten, as well as the email list we've been able to build, that we're going the injection mold route, which is going to be ready in the spring of 2023 here. And so we will be opening pre-orders most likely in the end of February, and then that will be ready to be fulfilled and be sent around the country. And we're actually hoping for a global launch for the upcoming spring here.
So for those listeners and myself that are interested, um, what is the price range? Like just bare bones, like with kind of the stuff included? Like what's that
Mhm.
cost versus like the additional accessories and everything?
Yeah, so the price range we're looking at is 119 for the Kid Caddy club carrier, which comes with, the 18 clubs, the balls, tees, ball marker straps. That's kind of what comes included in the base package. And then we have the option to add on any of, 7 to 10 other accessories to kind of make it the equivalent of your golf bag. And typically those are going to range from, 10 to $20.
Oh, nice. I'm glad my friends don't listen because I might end up scooping one up for my buddy who just had his baby. It'd be like a late congratulations gift, I guess.
There you go.
Um, I do people do that? I don't know. He's my first friend that's had a baby, so I have no idea. It's funny. While he's like, "Hey, like the baby's coming," I'm like, "Hey, I just got a PS5." Like, ha ha ha, I win. Turns out I'm bored and lonely, but I have a PS5. But now he's like fulfilling his fatherhood with this baby. So I think he got the better end of the stick. Um,
Well, I think any belated baby shower gift is always welcome. So there's never too late of a time for that. And
okay,
that's
good.
kind of the cool thing with the Kid Caddy is even though you're not like not everyone is in that like parenthood phase where it's a small window of like 0 to 3 or 4. If you have one kid, that extends if you have multiple. But almost everyone they know has a golfing buddy that at some point will likely have a kid, and you don't want to give them the excuses. Like no excuses. You got the Kid Caddy. Let's go play.
I think that for me, like, I mean, for me, I have no real desire to use one of these just because I don't have a kid.
Yeah.
But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, well, God, he could use it, and then that throws every excuse he could ever have out the window. It's like, well, no, you just take the kid with you, and you
Hmm.
bring some snacks and like food, and the baby will sit there and be quiet. Fingers crossed. I don't have kids, so it's like a
Yeah.
foreign world to me. Um, but just the thought of it, I think it's so cool, and the fact that it's local in Minnesota in the Twin Cities nonetheless. Like I live in the suburbs, but normally we do them in Minneapolis. So like for me that's even cooler. Um so pre-order February.
Yep, that's the target for us. So
Okay.
that kind of gives us between now and then we'll be looking to really finalize what our distribution timeline looks like and get our the reason for the pre-orders is we've got that first production run, so we want to make sure that we are able to target what the ideal number is going to be, and then get them in people's hands so they can hit the courses. In our mindset as soon as the snow thaws, but we've got people down south that are just looking for the opportunity to get out there as soon as possible because they're kind of in the prime timeline right now. And also like we've got a bunch of people interested from like Australia because apparently that right now is uh, the ideal place to be golfing in this season. So it's their summer right now.
Oh, interesting. I've never been there and I don't want to go because I've heard the bugs. I,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So what is next for the Kid Caddy other than, more production? Do you have any
Mhm.
like bigger ideas? Like, are you wanting to expand into more products along the way? Like maybe just like a full-blown like custom stroller type thing?
Yeah. So the big part of being at the PGA show was connecting us with a couple of different people. So it's course owners was awesome to be able to connect with so many people that own courses and could talk to me about how this was perfect for their demographic. So they've got family focused. So it's finding ways to work individually with courses to figure out how to set them up with Kid Caddies is something that they can rent or let their patrons use to kind of get out there and build that family friendly environment. It's also working with distribution networks to help figure out the best way to get these sent out to different direct to consumers throughout the United States, and then starting to explore business to business relationships if we want to try and get those into pro shops or big box retailers. Just trying to find the right connections there. So that's kind of the next piece. And this summer, so I've got other ideas for continuing to expand into this space. Right now I'm trying to as an entrepreneur and kind of the way your mind works with like new products, it's easy to to skip over the now, move it next. And so I'm really trying to like pump the brakes on that and really just focus on making this, the success that I think it can be. And so it's going to be focused on really helping families answer the questions and get the confidence to go out there. I really want to invest in um, really the growing the game from the young kids perspective. So this summer that's going to include some vlog series on what it looks like to get out with families on the golf course, how to be successful with a young kid at 1, 2, 3, and kind of tips and tricks on how to do a successful round of golf. Because like you had alluded to before, it's kind of a mystery until you get out there and do it, whether that's you're playing with your kid or you're playing with a friend. So just some of the if they're 1 years old, like some of the tricks would be fill a Yeti up with hot water, put the cover on that, and then you're out on the golf course. Throw the bottle in there when they're ready for it. Give them the bottle, and they sleep the rest of the round. As they get a little bit older, it's um, you know the snacks per hole. Kind of working on building up the stamina with them on how to get through the different holes, or if you need to, it's just really setting your mindset around you're there for your kid and the golf is the bonus. So being able to go out and kind of help them learn the game. If they need a hole off, you just need to walk with them, then that's okay. You're going to play 8 holes instead of 9. You're not really out there for the score anyways. You're out there to spend time with your kid, and the golf is just a nice way to spend time outdoors. So um, that's kind of the next emphasis is I really want to help families and work with them.
Yeah, in some way, the golf is almost like a bonus, right? Because you do get to spend time with your kids, and like you said earlier, your wife gets, a couple hours off, kind of recharge. It's almost like a bonus to be able to go outside and enjoy the nice weather and hit a couple balls around.
Absolutely. I mean, for every dad that spent 2 hours sitting on the couch flipping through their phone or taking 1,000 walks around the neighborhood, to be able to just go out and spend an hour on the golf course, even if you played, all right, I'm going to go out. I played 4 holes. At that point, my kid decided that, all right, today's not the day. Well, then we go and we play on the putting greens. We go inside and you get a snack with them. Like those are the things that you're going to remember. It's not
Mhm.
the score you shot that day. It's that one-on-one time that you had, and that's really the core foundation of Kid Caddy and the values that we're trying to represent.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, growing the game, having your kids involved, it's all fun at the end of the day.
Mhm.
And I mean, like I said earlier, maybe you'll have a Michelle Wee or a Lexi Thompson on your hands where they're just
Yeah,
absolute gamers and will blow anybody away. Um, you alluded to snacks per hole. This is kind of where we're going to get more into like the golf centered questions.
yeah.
Um, what is your favorite on course snack if you have one?
I mean, I'm a big fan of hot food, so it's got to be just the normal hot dog. But if I'm going candy bar, um, it's the Snickers. It's their advertisements got me. Just like get the hunger beat. Don't bring the negative attitude. Just nip it in the butt.
You get kind of hangry, so you eat your Snickers.
Yeah, I mean you can. You got to stay ahead of it.
Well, I'm not a morning person either, so Derek knows that. So whenever he makes me wake up early, it's like I have to have some kind of snack just to like not bite his head off, even though I'm sure I still do, so I do apologize. Um, so Derek was nice enough to send me over the questions he normally writes down, so I'm reading them. Um, this is one that I always end up really enjoying listening to people. If you could take two clubs to play your local 18-hole golf course, what are you taking and what do you think you could shoot?
All right. So the way I think about it is I got to have an inside 150 club. I need to have um, that's going to be decent off the tee. So the inside 150, I'd probably say like a 54. So go something with that. I think I can play that relatively well between that distance. And then the higher club would probably be maybe a 5. Maybe a little bit lower. Let's say a 7. Let's say a
Sure.
7 and a 54. I think that's gonna be my call.
Sure. I think at one point I said I could take my 60 in the putter. mainly because I could
Dude,
scald a 60 like 400 yards if I needed to, or I could hit it for, to like 100 yards if I needed.
okay.
Um, I think realistically now I have a 2 iron that's a driving iron, and I love that thing. So you could use that off the tee and to putt with
And a putt. Yep.
because it's basically a hockey stick. Um, and then I think I'd have to take some kind of wedge, so I'm not trying to flop a 2 iron, which I mean I've seen people do. I no, not a chance for me. But yeah, what do you think you could shoot with your 54 and your 7?
Two two clubs. That's tough. I'd be happy if I was like upper 90s. I think I'd be excited about that.
I'd be happy to break 100 with two.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it. Like I'd get frustrated and quit.
Yeah, 18 is a long two hole round
Yeah.
or two club round.
Yeah, maybe 9. Maybe I could probably do 9, 9 with
Yep.
two. But
I
18's
think
tough because as soon as you get that like par five involved, you're just frustrated.
that's exactly it. Yeah. Or if you have the par three and you can't stick a green because you don't have the
Mm,
right club, so you're constantly like, setting up or half swinging it, that would also be challenging.
I don't hit the ball very far, so I think I'd be okay there. Um, he always asks people if a hole one on a simulator counts, and you're just like, no, Derek, it does not count. So I know he's gonna listen to this and he's gonna agree with me, so we're gonna take it off. Um,
It doesn't count, Derek. It doesn't.
no, again, it's like me booting a PGA 2K and getting a hole in one, and telling all my friends like it doesn't matter. Um, so we could go into the rapid fire stuff. Do you know what your lowest round is in terms of score?
I've shot an 80. I have not broke 80. I haven't hit the 70 yet. 80 is my lowest.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. I think I've broke 80 once.
So I've shot a 35 on nine hole course, and I didn't have time to go back and play the rest of the round. It's also that course that I grew up on that I feel like I could go low if I ever did play 18.
Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Derek for like shoot like a 75 once, and I was just like, you need to like do something else with your life. But then I remember we do this, so it works. Um, Pants or shorts on the course?
I'm a shorts guy.
It's kind of a unique question because we're both, I mean, in Minnesota. It's kind of cold sometimes.
This is true. I mean, I'm not saying that I won't be the guy that's wearing like the windbreaker and pants and gloves in between shots because you gotta. I'm a big late season golf guy, as well as early morning. So you got to bundle up. But given the day or the option, I'm a shorts guy.
I think we all are. Hat, bucket hat, or no hat?
Hat.
Hat. What driver's in your bag?
I have got the um, burner, TaylorMade burner, super fast. So
It's an older one, right?
it is, yeah, white older one. You're gonna. I actually get roasted quite a bit on Instagram with. I've got an older club set right now, so I'm in the market. That was actually part of the 2 point. The PGA show is going in. We floated into the Callaway booth and smashed um,
Paradigm.
the new paradigm a little bit. So that was pretty fun.
I have last year's Callaway, and I always blank on what it's called, but I love that thing. I can't think of the name, and it's in my car, so I can't go get it. Why it's in my car, I don't know. It's cold out there. Um, yeah, I'm a big Cobra guy, so my irons I have the LTDX. That was like my
Yep.
splurge last year was I bought the LTDX. Those are great. Derek went over my 7 iron, so I have everything but a 7. And he has not gotten it fixed yet. And I can say that because now he's gonna text me as soon as this comes out. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna get it fixed." Um, so this one I'm always interested in. What style course do you like? Are you like a links guy? Are you a more traditional with the trees? Because I know I prefer the trees.
I prefer the trees as well. I think that's just because of having so many courses like that around here. You're gonna find a lot of great, especially in like in northern Minnesota, a lot of great courses that are um, that more traditional style. That said, like I've played some like links courses are fun to mix in. It's just a little bit different, but I'm just more traditional, just from my roots, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky to play a couple of the bigger, nicer courses up north, like we kind of talked about before this.
Yeah,
Um, One of my favorite courses is the Wilderness, and that's up north Minnesota. It's in um, kind of the Tower area. It's attached to Fortune Bay. One of the holes, they they kind of carved it through the rock, so they didn't blow up the rock to make the path. You literally go on the path over these rocks,
cool.
and you're just in like the woods and everything. And to me, it's just like the most scenic thing. I feel like the links courses are all pretty similar, where they're just flat. And I know that's kind of blasphemous to say because there are some very iconic links courses, and I'm well aware of that. But like if it was up to me, they would have trees because trees in nature are really cool. Again, that's just, growing up in Minnesota, it's a little bit different, and I love it. Um, do you have a favorite golf shoe? I know before we were kind of talking about all my shoes. I know I've got a couple Jordan golf shoes. I've got a couple custom ones that are Nike, but do you have a favorite one?
I have a new favorite one. So there was a brand called Scony that was at the PGA show. Like if you've seen the Hey Dudes shoe, that's more of like the fabric style. They
Yeah.
were like built very similar to those. So it's like
Oh.
super high comfort, high breathability, all like built into a golf shoe. So I thought that was pretty cool. Um, the shoes that I normally wear, I've got like an Adidas. It's I feel like it's the battle between like traditional like spiked and like non-spiked, like the molded. I'm definitely a spiked guy. I haven't got into the molded quite as much.
I think it depends on the weather for the spikes because the spikes do much better when it's wet.
Hmm.
Where if there's the spikeless, it's really nice in like July when it's not a whole lot of wetness going on here, I guess.
Hmm.
Should have said it's drier. I don't know. What are they called? ScoMo?
Skoni,
Scony.
Skoni.
I've never heard of them. I've heard of Tomo. We've done stuff with Tomo, and theirs are pretty similar.
Yeah. So part of my like enjoyment from like their brand is they also throw an awesome party at the PGA show. So like if you go stick around till 5 o'clock, the apparel section just turns into like it's their own city. Like every place else is like focused on like the product. They built like walls and desks and like their own bars and everything. And we were hanging out at one place. They had like steel drums and a keg, so you could just have beers and just like BS with everybody that's like wrapping down the show. So they had a really cool setup. Breakfast Ball, if you know about those guys and
Hmm.
like their apparel, they were awesome. They just kind of had a cooler. We were kicking it with them at the end of the day.
Yeah, they're
Um,
from North Dakota, right?
they are. Well,
Yeah.
so Breakfast Ball. And I think it's and I don't want to like misspeak because Breakfast Ball, like the YouTube brand, absolutely
Mhm.
from North Dakota. Those guys are awesome. But also like Breakfast Ball, the apparel, and I'm not 100% if they're affiliated.
Got it.
But both of them are worth looking up. So yeah, we were hanging out with those guys at the end of the show. They were great.
Yeah, I know two of them are from the You Betcha stuff, which obviously they get
Yep.
millions of views, but they're from North Dakota. And
Yep.
I listened to the podcast with all of them just because I like Miles, the You Betcha guy. I think they're just hilarious. So when you can get those two together, it's even funnier. But yeah, they're from North Dakota. I think they're Vikings fans too. I
They are. Yeah,
think.
they've done some Vikings related content. One of them actually just had a kid, so we've been talking a little bit. So hopefully we'll get them set up and they can get on the course with a little one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have them on too. So, networking.
There you go.
Um, so do you prefer early morning or twilight golf?
I'm an early morning guy. So I actually play the majority of my rounds in the morning, and so my like my wife's a nurse. She works early in the morning, so I'll have like kids in daycare, and so I'll actually start my day where we'll get the first tee time in the morning. We'll go out and we'll tee off at like 7 a.m. Go play
Mhm.
9 holes, and I'll drop them off at daycare and start my work day. So we
Sure.
actually play a lot of golf in the morning.
Has that kind of changed since you've had kids? Like, were you originally like a Twilight guy, or when you had kids, did that change?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big value golfer, so I'll go out and golf the twilight and play till you can't see anymore. So I'll go and do that. But yeah, just in terms of like fitting it into my normal day. Yeah, that's kind of where having kids and finding that opportunity to fit it in the morning. Like they're in great moods in the morning. You get them in, you get them snacks, you get them breakfast, and you go play a fun 9 holes. That's works really well in our schedule.
I'm not a morning person. I prefer Twilight. I just don't like to wake up early. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be forced to do anything.
Nope.
And I understand people are like, "Oh, when I have in golf, like, no, let me sleep," type of person. That's me. Um, what's the favorite club in your bag? Like, if you had to say, "Hey, this is the one club," what is it?
I've got a 56-degree like Forge Nike wedge that um, is my it's kind of my like golden club around the green. So I like using that one quite a bit. So it's yeah, it works pretty well for just kind of changing the face angle and bumping it or getting it up in the air if I need to. So I find myself in a decent position to get up and down with that.
What is your least favorite club then?
It depends on the day. Sometimes it's my driver. I don't know. It is my favorite club to swing when it's going well, but then just like we talked about the traditional courses, I'm punching out a lot.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
I hate my driver and I hate like my 3 wood. So I can't get it into my head that I can hit the ground with my 3 wood. So I just want to pick it clean every time, and you can't always do that. And I
mhm.
cannot like get into the habit of like hitting the ground. I don't know what it is. It might just be like a mental thing where I don't want to, but I don't want to hit the ground. So I hate that club. But then when I hit one good shot and I'm like, okay, I
Yep.
love it.
They'll keep it in the bag.
Well, yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
that
I paid for it.
that's the like the fairway finder, like going down from the driver to like the fairway wood or a higher iron. Like that's one of the things that I'm thinking about going into this next season. It's like, all right, like a few less penalty strokes off the tee box, and we'll see if that gets me below that 80 mark.
I I I don't know what it is about me. Driver scares me, 3 wood scares me, hybrid's okay, but I love hitting my irons, so I hit my irons really well. I That's just always been good for me. So
Mm-hmm,
I highly recommend a driving iron. I love mine. Mine's from Haywood. I have their driving iron, and he makes his, they're made in Canada, but they're all made by him,
mm-hmm.
and they're really nice. They feel good. So for me, I did a driving iron. I love that thing.
Yeah, I think later in the season last year, we were playing from the like the blacks, the tips a little bit more often, and just I mean, there's a great way to. I was feeling the vibes from like shooting a few good rounds. I was like, all right, let's back it up a little bit and see what those longer irons feel like, which is always how the wheels fall off the wagon, anyways. And so got a feel for trying to shoot that second shot. You're looking at 190, 220, and that brought a whole different perspective into like my golf bag. I'm like trying to put those on the green and stop those. So yeah, those are. I don't know if there's my least favorite clubs, but those are definitely the most challenging shots in my bag right now.
Yeah, as soon as I get off the tee, my game improves. The issue is you have to get off the tee 18 times at least if you're doing it right. Um, who's your favorite golfer? I know the easy answer for everybody's Tiger, but I'm not a
Yeah,
Tiger
right.
guy.
Uh I'll do a current favorite and like an old favorite. Like growing up, it was like Payne Stewart. I just like the style of like
Mm,
the rolled up pants and all that. That kind of the
like
glory days
plaid
of
socks.
yeah. Uh, and then right now, I don't know, maybe let's say DeChambeau. I think it's been fun to see what the long drive, the long drive scene has kind of done to the game, and you see you see that style of long ball kind of changing the way golf is played.
I think he's single-handedly kind of changing the way a lot of people are looking at constructing courses
Yeah,
because he's so creative and then they like shut him down. They're just like, no, you can't do that. Um, he's definitely fun to watch. Payne Stewart, I mean, I've always loved Payne just for his, his style and the charisma he brings.
yeah,
Um, I'm not old enough to like have seen Tiger at his like prime. I wasn't born until 97. So I was really young when Tiger was really good. So I've always grown up with Bubba. I love Bubba. I feel like his creativity is like leads everybody. I don't feel like there's anybody close to him. I also really like Colin Morikawa just because he makes it look so easy. And then like if I try to do anything he does, it's like the most frustrating thing ever. So there's like something to say about just how easy he makes it look, just effortless, strikes the ball well, good mental game.
yep, yeah. Even like Matty Scheffler is like his footwork and the way that he plays the game is just it's easy to be in awe, but it's really hard to try and like imitate. It's like, all right, I can go
hmm
out and like practice those kind of shots because his is just his body's built different in the way that he strikes the ball.
Well, that's how I feel about Bubba, because like he'll hit shots with just like these huge like banana hooks. You're just like, why on earth? And then it just rolls onto the green, and you're just like, that's why. Or
Yep.
like drive her off the deck for no reason just to get there. And you're just like, I would never do that. And then he pulls it out, does it, and just it's a beautiful shot. And you're just like, oh, it's just Bubba. Um, what's the favorite course that you've played? It could be in Minnesota, it could be outside of Minnesota.
Yeah, so I'll pick some like Minnesota favorites. So played in the Black Hills in South Dakota, course called Elkhorn Ridge, and it had a ton of like really cool elevation change. It was kind of a course that was built, and then they started developing like the house district around it. But some really cool like course architecture that was great. And then for anyone watching the podcast like on YouTube, I've got Dakota Ridge behind me, which is like southern like middle of Minnesota. Um, that's a course that played and really enjoyed. That's more it feels kind of the links style, and that one was um, went out there, kind of played 36 in a day, and it was just kind of a great day. So maybe it's like this the sentimental element of how much I enjoyed the course, but that was a great one as well.
Yeah, I know my favorite one is the Wilderness. It's just right by, I have I shouldn't say my family has a cabin up there on Vermilion. So just being able to like drive like 5, 6, 7 minutes down and then you're in like this beautiful course. Like to me, you can't beat that. And then a couple holes are right along the lake, which are super cool too.
Hmm.
Um, both the Giants Ridge courses are great. I love kind of the weird like Muni courses. So like Derek and I play Majestic Oaks all the time because his grandmother lives in Blaine. I'm not too far from it. So
Hmm.
that was just always a course that we'd go play. That you can play that one really cheap. So I've never been to Dakota Ridge. I've heard of it. I'd like to go. Sounds really fun. Um, and then what's a bucket course, a bucket list course that you want to play other than like Augusta? Because no one can play Augusta
Yeah,
unless you're the
right.
Molly guys and you do play it twice, but whatever.
Um, so just watching like Instagram guy. I try to like grow my social media following on there primarily, and watching some of the other big influencers. Mac Butcher, he just plays courses all over the place. He's played a couple of really cool ones that I've like earmarked that I want to go and play. So he's on like Bear Mountain in Victoria, BC. Looks just incredible, and they've got kind of a valley and a mountain course. And I know that you guys had Brandon Kubit on earlier, and he's talking about like some of the Calgary courses, and yeah, there's just a whole laundry list there. And also some like other international ones is like there's a lot of the Dubai golf going on right now,
hmm
and the courses with like the cityscape in the background just look like pretty off striking. So those would be cool ones to go and actually travel and play.
I think the Dubai courses are just crazy because like you're in a desert and then it's just like lush green course and then there's like the massive just city. Like
Yep.
looking at those, they almost don't look real whenever you look at them. And then you're just like, yeah, I could go hop on a plane for however long that flight is, and then you're just there.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's crazy. And like watching like the good guys just kind of play there, and you're just like, it doesn't look real. It's not fair. Um, and yeah, I feel like a lot of the courses in Canada are super underrated, like Brandon was saying. My bucket list, I gotta play Banff. Like whether that's this year, next year, whenever I wrote like I Google mapped it, I could drive it and I'll drive
Yep.
it. I don't care. Um, that's the only reason I got my passport was so I could go in and out of Canada. Um, to play Banff. That's all I want to do is play that course. I feel like the Canadian courses are underrated, and I feel like more people should kind of look into Canada golf because there's so
Yeah.
many cool ones. I feel that way about Minnesota golf though too, where it's like we have so many nice courses, but because it snows 6, 7 months out of the year, nobody thinks about it.
Yeah. I mean, I love Minnesota golf just because it's so accessible. There's so many like every little town has two or three courses like all the way through the state. Anyone can play here, anyone can get on. You can play a course that you're gonna find a time where you can play it almost by yourself, which is so cool. And then like that doesn't at all take away from how nice the courses are. You just got like in midsummer, you just got lush green, beautiful trees everywhere. Just you're carving a course out of the forest. It's really cool.
Yeah, and like for me, the reason I don't like links courses is because I love in the summer the rustling of the leaves and everything and just kind of hearing everything. To me, that's what make golf so special and different than other sports. Like I love baseball, I love the Twins, I love going to the ballpark and everything, but just something about hearing the leaves in the trees rustle, the birds, and then just like the whack of hitting the ball. To me, you can't beat that. And obviously that's not a Minnesota thing, but just the fact that it is so easy to go out and find somewhere to do that here, you almost can't complain, other than when it's 20 below, like it was this morning when I left for work. But
Yeah. The one of the biggest like ego boosts you can have as a golfer is when you're on that tee box that's completely surrounded by trees and you just smash a drive and it just like echoes. You get that crack from all the trees.
Mhm.
That's the greatest feeling.
Ugh. Makes me want to go play, but we can't. There's so much snow on the ground and everything. I also not sure my car would start at this point in the day. Um, for some reason he doesn't have all the questions on here, but one that we always like to ask people, you're local, which this is going to be the super interesting answer. What's a place that we have to eat in St. Paul? Is
So,
that so before you
so
answer, is Kremarchek's in St. Paul or is that technically Minneapolis?
I don't know Kamar checks.
Because
I'd
I
have to look that
love
one up.
Kremarchek's.
So I'm gonna give a shout out to my little town. So I'm in Newport, which is like South St. Paul,
Hmm.
Cottage Grove. Like we're town of 3,000 surrounded by towns of 3,000. So we're a best kept secret. And we've got like the one place that people know when they like here in Newport is it's a little restaurant called Tanucci's, and it is fantastic. They've got ribs, they've got like roast beef, like they're doing all the meats, like the chicken rotisserie, all that. And so that is the place. If you're in this neighborhood, that's the spot you got to go. The other one that is a must have is if you like your breakfast food, your cafe style. We've got a spot called the North Pole, that is like outstanding for breakfast. So those are the two local highlights if you're going to come and eat around here.
So I just Googled Kremarchek's. Um, Kremarchek's is very much so Minneapolis.
Okay,
Very much so
so
Minneapolis.
I will put it on the
Like,
list though.
oh, I love Kremarchek's. It's they're a Polish deli basically, so you can go in there get like a big old Reuben, and it's like cafeteria style, so you get your tray.
Hmm.
But then there's one room where you can go buy like their sausage packaged up. You get some of their sauces packaged up, and it's great. It's in I thought it was like on the border of Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's very much so in Minneapolis, and I feel like I'm embarrassed to say that out loud. But yeah, welcome to the Twin Cities. Those are
Yeah,
places that Derek and I can actually go check out, so it's kind of exciting for us.
there we go. Hidden gems. They're all over.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than just like a place that nobody knows about, but it's fantastic food. Um, but I mean, I answered all my question, or you answered all my questions, and hopefully the audience kind of gets an idea of what the Kid Caddy is. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, just our social handles and like where you can find more about us is Kid Caddie Golf is our email, or not our email, but our web address. And you can go on there and find yeah, my email, more information about the product, sign up for our mailing list, which is where we send out a lot of the announcements for upcoming pre-orders, just kind of news and things like the PGA Show that we're doing. We're also going to be at the Minnesota Golf Expo, which is coming up on the end of February. So it's in
Oh
the
man.
Minneapolis Convention Center. So I encourage you to go and check out that. We will have some Kid Caddies on hand. You'll be able to check out the stroller and kind of what it looks like and ask questions about how to get out there with your kids. And if you're on social media, you can find us at Golf Stroller on Instagram or Kid Caddy on TikTok. And we've got a lot of content on there. Just kind of shows the product menus.
And I'll link all of that in kind of all the descriptions. I'll link all that. Oh, I
Perfect.
can't believe it's almost time for the Minnesota Golf Show already. It just feels like time is flying this year. Um, Derek and I went to that last year and it's pretty empty. So hopefully it's a little bit more full this year now that we're a little further out of COVID and everything else. So, but Ben, great having you on. Uh, Maybe we'll run into each other one day. Maybe you'll see Derek and I at the golf show. That'd be kind of neat. Maybe I'll end up ordering one for my buddy and his kid.
Absolutely. Yeah, Dominic, I
Sweet.
appreciate you having me on. And yeah, hope to run into you either at the golf show or maybe find a simulator sometimes since we're both in the same area.
Yeah, they're not paying us to say this, but we just partnered with 24 Golf. They're in Egan.
Cool.
Um, it's basically just a big simulator, and they're currently working on an even bigger space, but they have sim bays open, and then they're gonna bring in one of those putt view things where you can kind of look at the putt and the angles and everything. They have memberships and everything, but they're super cool. So maybe if you want to go out there, we can hit some balls, whatever. Um, Great guys over there. We're super excited to be working with them, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, I'd love to see you around somewhere. Be kind of, I'm a little harder to miss, with the hair and everything. Obviously, if you don't watch us on YouTube, you have no idea, but I got a lot of hair, so I'm a little harder to miss. Derek's kind of looks like an average guy, to be honest, but that's okay. I have enough for both of us. But Ben, great having you on. Hopefully down the road we can have you on again. Maybe when you're in like Target or something,
Yeah,
wherever Kid Caddy
Golf
ends up.
Galaxy.
That'd be cool. It'd be cool to see it at Target though too, next to the strollers.
Yeah.
I've never bought strollers, so I guess I don't know.
Yeah, that's part of some of the opportunities we'll be exploring is how to best make families aware of it being an option and let them know that they can kind of get out there and then working with courses just to continue to point them in the right direction.
Well, hopefully we can point people in your direction now, and hopefully that'll open up some doors for you. But thanks so much for being on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.